5 years later is a crossover continuation of the television shows Danny Phantom, created by Butch Hartman and owned by Nickelodeon, and the original Ben 10 saga, created by Man of Action and owned by Cartoon Network. The series is meant to do justice to the respective franchises as they were mistreated by their network towards the end of their run, despite all of the potential success the shows had. I'm Kuro the Artist, and I'm here to tell you 39 facts about 5 years later, including Easter eggs, concept art, and how this production began. Number 1. 5 years later was created, written, and illustrated by myself, Kuro the Artist. It was based upon a drawing request on my art page on Facebook back in 2014 to draw a picture incorporating Ben 10 and Danny Phantom. After the request, the idea for a potential crossover appeared in my thoughts, and I began making more and more illustrations based on this idea. Number 2. After coming to terms with my inspiration, I opened my laptop and wrote out the first 3 chapters all in one day. Back then, the plot was a lot more simple and the dialogue needed some work, but the core concept was there. Number 3. As I wanted to start to pursue an artistic career more seriously, I gravitated towards more original work, and ultimately this project collapsed with no intention of a revival. Number 4. It wasn't until 2 years later that I realized how big of a project my current work became, mostly due to the art style, and I wanted to make something a lot more simpler and easier for a change, if anything, just to put out more work consistently. After seeing Butch Hartman's video about Danny Phantom 10 years later, it reminded me how much potential there still was to the show. Number 5. Stumbling across my original script for the crossover, I reworked it into something less fanfiction-y and more coherent to as legitimate as a continuation as I can get. Entitled it 5 years later, inspired by Butch's video. Number 6. I based the art style around a combination of Butch Hartman's style in Danny Phantom and Derek J. Wyatt's art style in the 4th iteration of Ben 10 subtitled Omniverse. Number 7. The more I worked on the project, the more research I had to do on each show's mythology and fanbase. I realized there were still tons of passionate fans still out there willing to support either show if there was any chance of a revival. Number 8. I decided to write 5 years later in a way that reintroduces both worlds in a new light so fans of either show, or neither of them, could understand and enjoy the story. So despite this being based around 2 very specific fan bases, this comic is created to be consumable for any reader, even if they have not seen either show prior. This would hopefully create an accumulation of support and act as a statement to their networks that these shows deserve a second chance, and my series can act as an example of that. You can hear more about my stance on that in my previous video, Go Ghost Again, on April 3rd. Number 9. I wanted to give the story a more realistic and grounded feel, so I decided to include any language, violence, and emotional situations that characters might experience realistically despite how graphic and shocking it might come off to some viewers. However, I do not add any mature situations that do not somehow add to the story, so it is not unnecessary and graphic just for the sake of it. Number 10. Because of that overview, I decided that Ben's aliens should all have a more organic feel to them, and upon some research, I came across Alex Gotro's designs, better known as the Insane Dude 24. Turns out, we did an art trade a year ago based on this very same concept, and he agreed to work with me on my comic. Adding on my longtime friend Hershey to handle the business aspects of my website, store, and advertisement, we had a whole crew put together. Moving on to fun facts. Number 11. During Danny and Ben's introductions at the beginning of chapters 1 and 2, there's many drawings that have callbacks to the original show's episodes, openings, and promotional art. Number 12. The Phantom Flame shown in chapter 3 is a nod to an Instagram post Butch made earlier on about a potential ghost power. I saw this during chapter 1's production and liked it so much that I almost used it immediately, but figured for first-time viewers, Danny shouldn't use too many powers to let people get a more rounded feel for his character. Number 13. The Orion Squad, first shown as cameos in chapter 2, are all based on members of the 5 years later crew, except for Lula, a completely new character which will be the squad's main focus. Number 14. Lula was created to emulate the classic series Ben and Max type relationship, this time with Ben being the mentor, to show how he begins to transition into Ben 10,000. Number 15. The device used at the beginning of chapter 3 to destabilize Danny is a combination of 2 old Vladco gadgets, the Spectral Energy Neutralizer and the Plasmius Maximus. Number 16. Danny's outfit in 5 years later is designed to look more like a regular jumpsuit, but is now equipped with various Fenton tech, such as a sleeker looking Spectre deflector and an Ecto energy compressor. Number 17. The series was originally supposed to be in black and white with no digital alteration, to save tons of time in development and get the pages out faster, with the first 6 pages being drawn originally to be exactly how they were, fresh off the clipboard. Starting with page 7, I began to experiment in color and felt that having it that way would help make the characters stand out against the background more. By the time Ghost Freak showed up, I went back and added shading effects so that the one-color characters can have better form. By chapter 3, every page has heavy digital alteration to make it look more polished and alive. Number 18. Ben has the master control in this series, so there will be no mistransformations or timeouts. To further push him down the Ben 10,000 path, Ben now uses his aliens more like an arsenal, using each alien to the primest of his abilities and changing form frequently through battle. Number 19. The first new alien shown in the series was Slingshot, created by Alex Gotro. Slingshot was based on an idea Alex had previously before joining our team and was reworked to better fit the 5 years later feel. Number 20. The second new alien shown was Slampede, whose design was based on one of Upchuck's concepts back in 2006. He has the ability to move hastily in small bursts and use the kinetic energy force built up in his skull as an explosive when it comes into contact with something, like a living battering ram. Number 21. Since the end of Phantom Planet, it is implied that Vlad was stranded in space for the entire 5 years of his absence, and spent the entire time trying to drift home while perfecting his powers. Because of this, Vlad has practically mastered every ghost power available, as well as a few new ones yet to be shown. Number 22. The entire plotline of 5 years later has already been planned out, with the ending decided before Chapter 1 even began illustration. This is to embrace the series' strong continuity and foreshadowing, so the series can be even more entertaining upon multiple views. Number 23. The Ben 10 2016 reboot exists in the same universe as 5 years later, but as a television show, similar to Sumo Slammers and Buddy Adventures. You can see allusions to that with advertisements for it hung up around Bellwood, a little girl with an overflow toy, and a boy with a Reboot Ben t-shirt. Number 24. The series is drawn completely by hand, then scanned and edited on a computer. While I do have a tablet, I chose to do it by hand as the drawing comes more natural to me with a pen, and I could work on it anywhere. If I had used a tablet, that would limit me to only working at home. I worked at this comic during my breaks at work, on buses, in my car, even on hiking trips. Number 25. Each page goes through a few digital alterations, and sometimes relying on that makes me forget to draw stuff by hand. So I have to create some things entirely digitally, such as Ben's beard sometimes, and the Frenton Cruiser on the cover of Chapter 1. Now let's check out some Easter eggs. Number 26. In Chapter 1 during Sam's protesting panel, one sign says "Go Ghost Again," a nod to the popular hashtag fans would use to express their interest in a revival. Another says "Free Elmer." Butch Hartman's real first name is Elmer. Number 27. Hanging up in the Fenton's home near the stairs is a picture of Bunsen from Butch Hartman's latest show, Bunsen is a Beast. Number 28. The pattern on the desk Danny hides behind resembles Proctor Cervantes, leader of the Rooters and the previous owner of the now abandoned base Ben and Danny meet in. Number 29. Although he did not appear in Omniverse, Chameleon makes a cameo in the flashback panel of Feedback holding the Annihilarge explosion from the Omniverse finale A New Dawn. Number 30. In Blue Kitchen Driba's lab, there's a dismantled Tekadon head, the Unitrix, and a pitchfork from my other webcomic, Dead. Number 31. Another reference to Dead can be shown hanging up in front of Max's Plumbing, along with a character from Alex's own original creation, Tombstones. Number 32. Across the street from Max's Plumbing is McLaren's Pub, the How I Met Your Mother gang's usual hangout spot. Number 33. When Danny blasts Vlad all the way to Bellwood Park, he flies by a sign that says Dunder Mifflin, the paper company from The Office. Number 34. The park the battle continues in is the same park where Ben fought Vilgax at the beginning of Alien Force Season 3. The monument contains a piece of Petrosapien crystal salvaged from the battle, and the title of that monument is a reference to the first ever Ben 10 console video game. Number 35. When Ben tried to identify the type of energy Vlad attacked him with, you can actually see a playback from the battle on his monitor. Number 36. The clash and exchange of one-liners between Danny and Vlad is a reference to the Injustice 2 clashes. Number 37. The tower that nearly falls on all of the citizens is a hybrid weather tower, which Bellwood civilians have repurposed as a more accurate forecast for their city. Number 38. Among the many civilians Danny saves is a fairly obvious Butch Hartman cameo, as well as a lesser obvious Man of Action cameo. But among the shadows you can see Stitch and Mike Wazowski, as well as Marshall Perkins from Dead. Number 39. Every color has a glowing portal-like shape on it to keep the visual theme of alternative worlds. Thanks for checking out my video. If you want to help support the future of 5 years later, please share this video on every social media site you use normally, and perhaps tag some friends in it as well. The bigger our audience is, the faster and more efficiently we will be able to put out more content. Don't forget to check out my website for more behind-the-scenes content, official character art, and exclusive updates on the future of this series. And as always, keep it fizzy.